What does "Off with his head" mean?
So one of my favorite walkout songs is, heads will roll, right? And if you got to take their head off before it can roll.
Okay.
So when I say off with your head, I'm trying to take your head.
And you've added to that now, out with his heart as well, right?
Yes.
I mean, you just sound really violent, to be honest.
I'm a very peaceful person, that part of me never comes out. I think of it as having an alter ego. That's what the real McCoy is. You're talking to Wallace right now, but on the 19th, Wallace will be no more in the real McCoy show.
Contest at 117 in the second round, declaring your winner by TKO, and you, Black Tie Boxing Middleweight Champion, Wallace the Real McCoy.
Louisville, Kentucky, get ready because LFA is coming back to the Derby City.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live around the world tonight on the LFA Fight Network.
On Friday, June 13th, Legacy Fighting Alliance comes back for LFA 210. Witness the future stars of tomorrow face off at historic Freedom Hall. Knockouts, submissions, high-stakes drama. This is where the future is now.
Compromise, and he's attacking it, but he backs up more. Backs him up.
Get your tickets to see the stars of the future fight today.
Haven't done so, sign up now at UFCFightPass.com. You do not want to miss this stack card.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Knuckle Sandwich. I'm your host, Brandon Anderson. Make sure to hit subscribe really fast. We're on the road to 1,000. We surpassed 500. And so now we're on to bigger and better things. And speaking of bigger and better things, we're sitting down with the former #1 in Tennessee and Kentucky amateur, because he's making the jump to pro now, the real Wallace McCoy Jr. What's up, bro? How are you?
I'm doing good, brother. Thank you for having me again.
Anytime you ask, I'm making the drive, making the whatever, so we'll make it happen.
Yes, sir.
Wallace, I mean, we're pro now. How does it feel to hear Wallace McCoy, the pro?
It means nothing to me.
Okay.
I know, honestly, it means nothing to me because that's been a part of my goal. This is just a stepping stone to get to where I want to go. So it's not that big of a jump, and it's not that big of an achievement to me. Some people think that this is an achievement. This isn't an achievement if you already knew that this was going to happen.
Fair, okay. Well, I want to kind of rewind us a little bit. January 11th,
Yes.
2025.
Yes.
Main event, black tie and boxing. Man, how did it feel to know you were the main event, knowing it was going to be your last amateur fight? Did that fight go exactly how you planned it to go? Talk to me a little bit about your last amateur fight against Marquez Stamps.
Well, we were prepared. We had a good game plan. But honestly, being the main event wasn't that big of a deal because it wasn't my first main event. But I think that I didn't have my best performance. I wanted to have a better, cleaner performance, and I did not do that. And one of the reasons, no disrespect to my opponent, but I didn't feel the fear going into that match. I knew that I was better than him. I knew that my skill was greater than his, and I knew that I was going to beat him. So there was no fear for me to be able to have my optimal performance. But we got the job done. We still followed the game plan, but I would have liked to have had a cleaner performance.
Well, one of the big things that came out of that fight was the call out afterwards for Andrew Stewie Stewart. You had messaged me before. You said, I have a really realistic call out that I need your help with. Sometimes things are above what I can handle. But talk to me about that call out as well too. We were just talking earlier off camera. You guys have now trained together and things. Is that still something that you see in the future? What was kind of going through the head for that call out for January 11th?
Well, you had come out with a list, right, of the best in the region, and you had ranked me number 2, which
amateur,
which I'm very grateful for. But everyone knows right now in this particular area, in this region, Andrew's the one that has the juice right now.
Yep.
He's the one with all the cameras. He's the one with all the eyes, and he's the one right now that if there's anybody that's going to go to the UFC, like very soon, it'll be him, right? So for not even a challenge, but just to get the eyes off of him and take some of his shine, what's the best way to do that than take his head?
Fair.
We have trained together. I was invited by Mr. Ortiz, and I talked to Andrew, and we went, and my coach, Ben, he got me down there, got me the opportunity. So we took it, and we went down there and trained, and it was some good work.
Heck yeah. When was that? Pretty recent?
I would say maybe a month.
Okay.
Month or so.
Cool. What does off with his head mean?
So one of my favorite walkout songs is, Heads Will Roll.
Yeah.
Right? And if you got to take their head off before it can roll.
Okay.
So when I say off with your head, I'm trying to take your head.
And you've added to that now, out with his heart as well, right?
Yes.
I mean, you just sound really violent, to be honest.
I'm a very peaceful person,
Okay.
and that part of me never comes out. I think of it as having an alter ego. That's what the real McCoy is. You're talking to Wallace right now, but on the 19th, Wallace will be no more, and the real McCoy will show.
Well, if we're looking forward towards the Saturday, right, the 19th, we've got to also kind of look back even farther than January 11th, all the way back to June 22nd, 2024. You and Robbie Burns had an amateur fight together, and obviously it did not go the way that anybody really planned, I would say. Talk to me a little bit about that fight too. What was that fight? There was a little bit of a scuffle, some words being said, and all those kind of things. Leading up to that, there was a lot of animosity, it seemed like, or at least a lot of selling of the fight. Even if it wasn't like true hatred, it at least seemed like it on camera. You guys are now fighting as pros. So back as an amateur, what was that like? Obviously, the experience of the fight, number one. Was it the outcome that you wanted, number two, and then number three, it all playing out to being your pro debut now coming this Saturday?
Well, I would say that it definitely didn't end how I would like it to end. I wanted it to be a lot more violent, and I wanted to be able to show my skills, and I didn't get that opportunity. So for me, after that fact, a lot of people don't understand the mind state that you're in whenever you're competing in that type of realm. So I was in a war mind state, and I actually apologized to him and his coach backstage directly after we left the cage and said, hey, I was in a high state of mind, and I just think, you can understand that. So I apologize, and maybe I was wrong. But I still believe that if we would have got to finish that fight how I would like to, his head would have came off. So at the end of the day, my skills are better than his, my heart is bigger than his, and I'm going to show that on the 19th. But I think that the animosity doesn't come out of disrespect. It comes from what I know what we're doing. This is war. This is a simulated war. And if there's no ref to stop the fight, one of us dies. So at the end of the day, I take this very seriously, and that's how I'm showing.
Well, you've been training pretty much nonstop. I mean, of course, I watch your social media stuff all the time. You hold multiple seminars and those kind of things, but also, too, I mean, we're here at Tiger Taekwondo here in Clarksville. Of course, you're over at Quest Fitness as well, too, and over at Bushido as well a little bit, maybe?
Matlock BJJ in Martin, Tennessee.
Right. Yes, so you've been training at multiple different places, too. Talk to me a little bit about the preparation for this fight coming up.
My training has been a little bit spread out, but I have a pretty good team that everyone offers something to make me better. And that's what I figured that I needed in this sense to get ready for my professional debut, is to get a little bit more of a different perspective from a handful of people that have a lot of knowledge in the sport. And one of those people is my coach here, the owner of Tiger Taekwondo in Clarksville and Hoptown, Ben. He's extremely good at striking. He started as a training partner, came in and trained at Quest, but then as we got to be a lot more acclimated, I saw that he had an eye for striking that I did not. So I humbled myself enough to be able to learn. So that would be for here at Tiger Taekwondo. Everyone knows that Christian Den at Quest Fitness has been my guy since I've started. He got me started. He's invested so much time into me, and I'm thankful for that. And he is the head corner for my fight still. That's my homeboy, and he will be the head corner. Then at Martin, at Matlock BJJ, there is they have a good jiu-jitsu coach, Turtle, right? He's the head, he's the black belt, but there's a brown belt there. His name is Kyle Graham, and that's my wrestling coach. He's almost about to have his black belt, but his wrestling pedigree is very high. And I needed to learn from him and get my knowledge base better in wrestling so I can continue to apply that in MMA. So I felt like it would be better from getting one perspective to get three perspectives to get it all together and match it into one game plan.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you said, more of an all-around game rather than most people focus on like a wrestler first and then a fight, then a striker, or a striker, then I'm a grappler. It's like you're just building this all-around game to get you prepared the most for this professional debut.
I will also say that, like, when I first started, even my first day, I originally started, I was interested in boxing because I saw a lot of NFL guys doing boxing for hand-eye coordination and cardio. And at the time I was playing football at Murray State, and I was going to plan to transfer to a different school. And I went into that gym before I even put on a glove. I forgot completely about football. That same day I boxed, I wrestled, I did jiu-jitsu, and I kickboxed. So my day one has always been MMA.
Nice. So after having such an illustrious amateur career, 7-2?
Yes, sir.
7-2, Tapology's, always wrong. So 7-2, 5 belts. What do you expect out of being a pro? I know you always you put yourself at the highest expectation possible. So where are we going to see Wallace in the next 5 years as a pro?
Undisputed pound for pound #1. There is no other goal. If there's another goal, then you're wasting your time. My goal is to be the best fighter pound for pound in the world. And I understand that that goal is going to come with a lot of heartache, a lot of sweat equity, a lot of pain, maybe even a lot of disappointment. But that's my goal, and I'm reaching for it.
Prediction for this Saturday?
Off of his head.
I expect nothing less. We're going to play a little game.
Okay.
I'm really excited for this. Lawton's really excited for this too. So amateur career is in the background now, and I always like to kind of go back and reflect a little bit.
Okay.
These are not in order. You're going to set the order, but we're going to pick out of the 5 wins that were online, what was your most competitive or your hardest fight, and then your least competitive or easiest fight. So you can move these guys around. We have Sage Mullins, Robbie Burns, Zane Burton, Marquez Stamps, and Christian Floyd. And talk us through it as you move them. I'll hold it for you so that way you can talk us through it. But hardest, easiest, or least competitive, most competitive, go for it.
Okay. I would definitely say my most competitive out of all of these people here, I would have to say that Zane Burton, at the time when I fought him, it was short notice, probably 3 weeks. I had literally just got off a bus from Dallas doing security for some kids. I would say that he was my hardest fight out of all of these guys because he was ranked #1 at the time in the state of Tennessee, and I fought him in Chattanooga in his hometown. I think, honestly, no ego, I may have been losing that fight at the time, and I had to dig deep to get that finish in the
fifth round, rear naked choke.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
yeah.
What a fight.
Yeah, so I think that Zane was probably, out of these, probably my toughest opponent.
Okay. Where are we going at with number 2?
Number 2, I'll probably say Sage Mullins. I'll probably say he's number 2. Just the simple fact that we had a similar training ground at that particular time. I was coming literally every week on Friday to come spar at Wildside, and that's where he was as well.
Yeah.
He gives a lot of credit to Harris Holt, but every Friday we would spar together for at least 3 or 4 rounds.
Okay.
So it was kind of hard trying to give a game plan because he knew me and I knew him.
Yeah.
So I thought that was probably going to be a hard fight, and it was hard because he knew my tactics and I knew his.
Yeah.
So I actually changed up a lot of my tactics, and I think that's the first fight where I had to wrestle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Middle ground. Who's your number 3?
Number 3, I'll give it to Marquez Stamps.
Oh, okay. Why number 3 to Marquez?
I'll give him a lot of credit. He came out hot. He came out ready to go, and he threw the kitchen sink at me really early.
100%.
And a lot of people are very, very light-footed with me and don't stand toe-to-toe with me, and he stood 10 toes down and tried to give it to me. So for him, I would say that was the hardest fight because he just came at me, and I had to figure out his puzzle. He's a little loopy, not as straight, so he's a little weird striker. So that's something I had to figure out as we went, and as you know, the best fighters solve puzzles in the time of action. So that was my first time I actually had to do that.
I was really surprised by Marquez's performance too. And I told him that, and I was like, no disrespect, but I was like, you brought it to Wallace, and most, like you said, most guys don't. So I was really surprised by that. 4 and 5.
Number 4 would definitely be Christian Floyd.
Okay. So Christian Floyd, number 4. Why number 4 for Christian?
He had a lot of hype, and I fought him in his hometown as well, and it's probably been one of the loudest and best events I've been a part of at 4th Street Live.
Yeah.
It was an exhilarating experience, and I had a great performance, but I wouldn't rate him the last, but that was probably one of my best performances to date. I was definitely in the zone, and there was nothing that man was going to do to separate me from my consciousness.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then Robbie's number 5. Why is Robbie number 5?
I could use some choice words, but I would say that the lack of heart, and I don't think that he he didn't present any threat to me in that fight. And I think it showed when I exchanged the right hands and how he was moving in the cage. So I think personally that it wouldn't have been a hard fight on that day. I think I would have took his head within 3 minutes, first round.
Okay.
But today is a new day, and number 5 doesn't matter right now because right now he is my toughest.
And I would say, so, I mean, coming up Saturday, you're facing the guy that you said was the easiest.
Yep.
Do you still expect it to be that way?
Never.
Never.
Every fight changes, and every fight is different. There's no such thing as an easy fight. So I am prepared for that man to be in the best shape and to bring his best, and he better. So, because I am going to do the same.
And it's up a weight class, 205.
That was not my doing. I'm going to go ahead and tell the camera right now. That was his doing and his coach's doing. I don't know if, can I cuss?
Sure, go for it.
I don't know if that was some or what, but at the end of the day, I would have fought that man at 185, 205, or heavyweight. I'm not afraid of him at all. I have no fear in my heart for this man. So I will show that April 19th.
Well, if you have any shout-outs, now's your time, Wallace.
I want to give a big shout-out to my coach. Today's his birthday. It's my striking coach, Ben, at Hoptown, Tiger Taekwondo in Clarksville and Hoptown. Of course, I got to give a shout-out to my team at Quest Fitness in Murray, Kentucky. I got to give a shout-out to my guys at Martin, Tennessee, at Matlock BJJ. Also got to give a big shout-out to one of my biggest sponsors, Fruit Bowl in Murray, Kentucky. Another big one of my sponsors, JB Sports Nutrition, which is my newest sponsor, has helped me a lot with a lot of supplements through this fight to supplement my training. And then I would have to give a big shout out to Tap 216, one of my biggest supporters, and they show my fights on TV. There's not a lot of amateurs with their fights in the bar for TV having fight parties. So I got to give a big shout out to Ben Ballard for being behind me and giving me the respect to be able to allow me to chase my dream. Even now, I'm supposed to be at work. He's allowing me to be here to do this interview. Nice. So I'm gonna give a big shout out to Ben Ballard. And then lastly, a lot of people may not know this, but wrestling prep, Carolyn Wester. She is the head wrestling coach for AKA. And I got an opportunity during this training camp because one of my other coaches, Matt Perfumo at Quest Fitness, he's a blue belt in BJJ, but he is not your average blue belt. Sure. Like, he is high level. And honestly, I think he's the highest level jiu-jitsu guy in the area. Wow. Not well known, but his time will come. But he introduced me to Carolyn. She had a clinic in Louisville, and he got me the opportunity to go down and train with her at her facility in Fairfax, Virginia. And we went and spent a week, did a lot of body leverage, and learned a lot from her about wrestling. She's coached Khabib. Nice. Luke Rockhold, and I got that opportunity to be with her, and I want to thank her personally. I thank you, and I appreciate you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can catch Wallace McCoy this Saturday in Paducah, Kentucky. I forgot the event venue because it's changed since. Do you remember it?
Yes, April 19th of the Knights of Columbus. Come see his head roll.
We'll end it there. There you go. Beautiful.
Amen.
Appreciate you, sir.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.